Every Jumerat or Thursday night, these narrow lanes come alive to the sounds of 1,000 prayers and qawwalis in the praise of Hazrat Nizamuddin Aulia. Although predominantly Muslims are seen paying their obeisance, covered heads of people from all faiths are a common sight at the dargah. There are no restrictions on what to wear, no color codes, and no methods here. All that a person would need to wear is their faith in the Almighty.
निजामी बसंती रंग में देखो निजामी पीर के जलवे, बसंती रंग में देखो निजामी पीर के जलवे के होनी रंग लाती है निजामुद्दीन चिश्ती का.
Still, there are some who follow their Murshad or Guru's example to keep his spirit alive.
जो टोपी मैंने पहनी हुई है, ये हमारे 1400 साल पहले जनाब हज़रत मोहम्मद मुस्तफ़ा सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम मेहराज में तशरीफ़ ले गए थे और अल्लाह से बात की. 26 रजब आप वहाँ से मुसलमानों के लिए कलमा, नमाज, रोज़ा, ज़कात, हज लाए और अल्लाह ताला ने उन्हें कुछ तोहफ़ा भी दिया, जिसमें आपको चोगा दिया, कैप दिया, असा दिया, नालैने दी और छड़ी दी. जब हुजूर नबी करीम सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम वापस आए मदीना मुनव्वरा में, आपने अपने चौथे खलीफा जो हज़रत मोहम्मद मुस्तफ़ा सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम के दामाद भी हैं, आपके बेटी के शौहर भी हैं, हज़रत अली को बुलाया. ए अली, अगर मैं तुम्हें कुछ दूं तो तुम क्या करोगे? फरमाया कि मैं इंसाफ, सब्र और पर्दापोशी, खामोशी, इबादत गुजारी करूँगा. फरमाया कि ये टोपी मैं तुम्हें दे रहा हूँ जिसको कुलय चार तुर्की कहते हैं. हज़रत मोहम्मद मुस्तफ़ा सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम ने हज़रत अली को वो टोपी उड़ा दी जिसमें 4 सिमत हैं, 4 सिमतें हैं, ईस्ट, वेस्ट, साउथ, नॉर्थ. ये एक तरह की हमारी बादशाहत है. ये मेरा साफा है. हमारी चुनरिया, पिया की पगड़िया, दोनों बसंती रंग दे रंगीले, तू तो साहब मेरा महबूब इलाही, मोहे अपने ही रंगे. यानी बाबा निजामुद्दीन औलिया हमेशा पीली पगड़ी पहनते थे. जब बाबा निजामुद्दीन औलिया अपने गुरु के दरबार में गए तो उन्होंने कहा कि हम आपकी पगड़ियां रंगते हैं, कि आपको बाबा ने क्या दिया? तो बाबा निजामुद्दीन औलिया ने अपनी पगड़ी को अपने गुरु के चरणों में रख दिया. उनके पर्दे के बाद तो वो देखा कि वो पीली हो गई. आप के भांजे बहुत अलीम थे, उनका इंतकाल हो गया. बाबा निजामुद्दीन औलिया ने दरवाज़ा बंद कर लिया. 6 महीने तक किसी से बात ना की, किसी से बोले नहीं, किसी से कुछ कहा नहीं, बंद रहते थे. अमीर खुसरो आपकी खानका के चक्कर लगाते थे रात को. मेरे हाल पर देख लो, मेरे हाल को देख लो, बाहर आ जाओ, मुझे अपना चेहरा दिखा दो, अपनी सूरत दिखा दो. ऐ मेरे मुर्शद, ऐ मेरे पीर, ऐ मेरे गुरु, मुझे अपने दीदार कर दो. लेकिन बाबा ने दरवाजे नहीं खोले. एक दिन हिंदुओं का रिवाज था, हिंदुओं का त्यौहार था, बसंत पंचमी, कालका जी मनाने जा रहे थे बहुत सारे लोग. अमीर खुसरो ने पूछा, भाई तुम कहाँ जा रहे हो? कहा कि हम अपने गुरु को मनाने जा रहे हैं. ये हाथ में बसंती फूल हैं, बसंती रंग है और कपड़े बसंती थे. अमीर खुसरो ने अपने सारे कपड़े उन्हें दे दिए और उनके कपड़े लेकर गले में ढोल डालकर आए. आज बसंत मना ले सुहागन, आज बसंत मना ले. आपने दरवाजा खोल दिया बाबा निजामुद्दीन ने खानका का और कहने लगे, खुसरो क्या करता है? फरमाया कि आपकी हंसी के लिए ये मैंने सब निसार कर दिया। 700 बरस से लेकर आज तक हमारे दरबार में बाबा निजामुद्दीन के दरबार में बसंत मनाई जाती है और अंदर मज़ार पर बाबा की मज़ार पे कव्वाली होती है।
Although he chose to wear a turban which symbolized the love of his disciple, Hazrat Nizamuddin was not new to the custom of wearing a pagdi. As a boy, barely 5 years old when his father expired, he was initiated into a school where he learnt and mastered the recitation of the Holy Quran in 7 different ways. He showed signs of a genius by mastering Arabic grammar, a hadith, commentary of the Quran, and its logic. Till this day, young boys who attend the madrasas learning the religious texts are awarded with such turbans of excellence to highlight their geniuses, much in the way the Sufi saint was awarded when he was only 12. He was given the title of debater, capable of defeating a congregation. These turbans are awarded by the priests or teachers and are normally green in color.
ये हरी पगड़ी का मकसद ये है कि सरकार मदीना, ताजदार मदीना हज़रत मोहम्मद मुस्तफ़ा सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम के दरबार में उनका जो रोज़ा है वो हरा है, तो इसलिए हम को हरा बांधना है क्योंकि मेरी माँ हसनी है, हरा रंग और हुसैनी इमाम हुसैन की औलाद में, तो हम अपना रुमाल जो गले में डालते हैं वो बांधते हैं, नमाज में वक्त में ख़ास में बांध जाते हैं।
While green is followed as a universal code in most regions, exceptions exist in various pockets of the country. One such example is the Mayo tribe, settled in the Mewat region in Haryana. The Mayos have 2 identities, both of which they are equally proud of. On the one hand, they claim to be Muslims. On the other, they also claim to be Rajputs and believe that they are direct descendants of Krishna and Ram. This reflects in the color and tying styles of the Mayos, which are influenced by the Gujjars, Ahirs and the Jats. While that might be where the Mayo Pagdi draws its looks from, its essence can be traced back to Mecca. The word turban got currency in the 15th and 16th century, especially in Persian language. Pronounced as dalband, its transition is apparently from dal or pronounced by Arabs as dal, which applies to a head wrap. It was then passed on as taliband, taliban or tarbant. The word although came later, but its importance and code for use was already defined by the Prophet.
औरतों पर तो ओढ़ना और मर्दों को पगड़ी जो है ज़ेबा है, ज़रूरी है। नबी करीम सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम का हुक्म है और उस हुक्म को मानते हैं हम। बस सुन्नत है ये।
आहिस्ता आहिस्ता जब मैं ईमान में दाखिल हो गया, इस्लाम कबूल कर लिया, तो ये फिर सुन्नत भी है। हमारे नबी ने पगड़ी बांधी थी, फिर सुन्नत भी है।
जो काम नबी ने किया हो उसको सुन्नत कहते हैं। सुन्नत उस शेर को कहते हैं जो नबी करीम सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम से साबित हुआ।
These codes differ from region to region. In Nu, the hometown of the Mayos, white is the code that is followed.
असली पगड़ी मतलब है सफ़ेद, जो बड़ान ने बांधी सफ़ेद ही पगड़ी बांधी।
Individual styles, family background, social status, and most importantly, the convergence of the Hindu-Muslim faiths dictates the variety that can be found in the turbans of this area. The turban and its utility come across clearly in a popular folk story which goes around in these parts of the country. A local was travelling through the land heading towards Alwar. Not aware of the distance and the harsh sun that he would be facing, he travelled without any basic preparations like water and food. The heat and the distance finally took its toll, and he could not go any further. It was only after a while that help came in the form of another traveller, who knew how to put his turban to good use. A normal pagdi acts somewhat like a cooler, the folds insulating against the heat, while the sweat working as a cooling agent when air flows through the fabric. Nine meters is the norm for a safa, and that is sufficient for it to be used as a well rope in case there isn't one to be found. More than the apparent practical use, in the olden times it also served as a bridge between the needy and the helper, the giver and the taker, and two strangers to become pagdi palat or pagdi padal bhais, a relationship sometimes stronger than blood relations. Respect for the pagdi, as it is called by the Parsis, takes on another meaning when it is to be worn by the head priest of the fire temple. A two-piece turban, it is tied in such a way that it ends up looking as one, the whites of the robes forming a pristine, calm image.
White is always in our religion, it's purity, and it's not only in our religion only, in many religions white is always the purest form as far as the religion is concerned.
As per belief, the pagdi covers the most powerful centers of spiritual knowledge called Lahiyan, which is located on the crown of the head.
This turban is only worn by the priest of our religion, and it's got a skull cap which always covers the head, and these pagris can be worn only by the priest. For normal Parsi, they also wear a pagri, but it's a black colored one. It's also called the feto.
The Lahiyan is supposed to be in the astral body of a human that requires a certain constant heat to function properly.
This is a cardboard that is put behind, which gives more strength and stability through the pagri, and where we tuck in the last round of like this pagri that I am making is of 9 rounds.
The steady, warm temperature in that area fortifies the part that endows an individual with the power of creative thought.
Praying with a bare head. Sometimes you give out energies, or you take in the negative energies. So that's always that we have to wear a cap on our head.
This helps in providing the path for the Urvan, or the soul's progression, which according to Zoroaster is the very purpose of life.
There's starch inside the cloth, so with the wetness the starch sticks, and that's how the pagri can stay for 15 years.
Apparently, this belief is the concept of Nirvan in Buddhism as well. Even though shaven heads is the norm, the turban does find a mention in Buddhist scriptures. Gautam Buddha was born with the 32 marks of a Mahapurush. These marks distinguished the Bodhisattva Gautam from the ordinary monks. One of these marks relate to the head, Usnis Shirsh, or having a head like a royal turban. In fact, some even go on to suggest that kings modeled the folds of their turban on this characteristic, symbolic of great men. The modelling took on the form of serious fashion in the princely times, where extensive work was done on every piece of clothing worn by the king and sometimes even the commoner.
Well, I think men's fashions, just like women's fashions, evolved very much according to who was ruling them. Unlike women's fashions, where most of the women were kept within the confines of their home and they did not have to interact with the people who were in power at that point of time. So their clothing changed in a very different way, if it changed at all. But men's clothing, there has been successive changes over decades, depending upon who was at the time ruling India, and India or that state or that particular thing, and it was very influenced by that. Influences that had come in from let's say Central Asia into India got very soon assimilated by the men, very rarely by the women, because they kept within their own cultural identity. But the men had to change because they were being part of that nobility, of being wanting to be part of that nobility. Having said that, there were pockets in India like Bundi, for instance, particularly in Rajasthan, Mewar, where they did not change. They wanted to keep within their identity.
So strict were the societies that even to go to the bazaar or to a dinner required special turbans or colours to be worn, much in the same way that the high society clubs of today have a dress code of a formal tie and coat to match.
again we're talking about an unstitched fabric which constitutes a turban, and then the identity of that turban changes. You still have that same 7 meters of fabric. Maybe in one state you have lehriya or bandhani in it, in another state maybe they wear it plain or colored, etc., etc. But this is not a stitched cap. The difference between a turban and a stitched cap is that this is open to stylistic changes down the years and from state to state. So that is why, like the unstitched garment, which is the lungi or the dhoti or the sari, this same discipline I think went through even to the turban, because once you stitch a sari, it no longer can be passed down, it is no longer pliable, is not versatile any longer. So I think that was one of the main reasons why the stitched garment, unstitched garment in India has survived to today.
And survived it has, with a wide range of fabric, designs and colors to choose from for every occasion, in almost every price range. The turban became a common man's crown.
Basically, the turban normally used to be in either cotton, malmal, the lightweight malmal, or if it was silk, it was equally lightweight and woven in Banaras for a silk cotton blend, whether it was a Maheshwari or a Chanderi or a Banarsi, or just plain cotton. But what was interesting is the kind of treatments that was given to the fabric. Some of it was the lehriya, the bandhani, or some just solid colors with little gold borders, little gold embellishments, but woven into the fabric. And most of the fabrics were such that when you tied it, they would crinkle. So the crinkling was a very, very major, important part of the turban. Turbans were never meant to be smooth, because then there you're talking about a stitched cap. They were supposed to be crinkled, and therein came their interest, because no two places in a turban look alike. And this was a good point of having a turban, because it was very colorful.
From the expanse of a king's darbar to confines of a comic book frame, it seems that the turban still has a place under the sun, even if it is in the guise of the friendly and wise neighborhood Chacha Chaudhary.
जब मैंने कॉमिक्स बनानी शुरू की तो उस वक़्त पूरे हमारे देश में वेस्टर्न कॉमिक्स थी, जैसे सुपरमैन, स्पाइडरमैन, बैटमैन, फैंटम, मैंड्रक वगैरह। तो मैं ये चाहता था कि एक पूर्णतया भारतीय करैक्टर बनाया जाए, जो कि हमारे ही सब्जेक्ट्स के ऊपर स्टोरी हो और वो कॉमिक्स बनाई जाए।
An icon to over 1 crore readers across India, Chacha Chaudhary was inspired by characters from Western comics, but was born a sharp, wise, and a thorough Indian gentleman.
पगड़ी मैंने इसलिए रखी कि वो हमारे एक भारतीय करैक्टर, एक हिंदुस्तानी एक ड्रेस है, शर्ट और पैंट जो है वो भी हम एक आम लोग पहनते हैं। और कॉमिक्स में क्या होता है कि एक्शन होते हैं। अगर मैं चाचा चौधरी को धोती पहना देता या पजामा पहना देता तो वो उतना एक्शन नहीं आ पाता, क्योंकि चाचा चौधरी एक बुज़ुर्ग आदमी है, वो फैंटम की तरह या सुपरमैन की तरह यंग मैन नहीं है। उसकी जो ताकत है वो दानिशमंदी है। तो ऐसे लोगों को इज़्ज़त मिले। पगड़ी जो हमारी जो निशानी है, जिस आदमी ने पगड़ी पहनी होती है, बुज़ुर्ग लोग माने जाते हैं और लोग उनके सामने सिर झुकाते हैं।
Although the red turban that adorns the Chacha's head symbolizes the respect that he commands, at the end of the day it serves as his life savior, much like in the war-ridden times.
अगर किसी ने कोई चीज़ मारी हो, लाठी मारी हो, स्टिक मारी हो सिर पे, तो उससे भी बचाएगी। ये एक हेलमेट का काम भी करती है। अक्सर मतलब चाचा चौधरी की वाइफ से नोक झोंक होती रहती है। एक दफ़े उसने चला के बेलन मारा, चूँकि चार चौधरी ने पगड़ी पहनी थी इसलिए बच गया।